All right, thanks for joining me this morning. Go ahead and post your questions on there. So on the right-hand side, you should see an area where it says chat with Top Speed Golf instructors. You can just post your questions right there. If you're on a mobile device, it will be below the video. So go ahead and post your questions on there, and we'll get started. I'll get started here with Neil D. Posted this question just a little bit ago. Said, am hitting heavy when using my fairway woods, also my straight. Can you give me some guidance on this, please? And it says see below. Also, ball not going straight. So with fairway woods, most typically what I see is that people play the ball too far forward in their stance with a fairway wood. And a lot of times they will hit behind the golf ball. Sorry, my voice is a little scratchy today. So I would try moving the ball a little bit further back in your stance. So in general, with a fairway wood, fairway wood right here. In general ball position, I like to be straight down from the lead ear. You can be a little bit forward of that, but basically straight down from the lead ear is a good place with the fairway wood, because we still need to hit down and through the ball. So if you play that ball too far forward in your stance, like where you would with your driver, which is often what I see with people who play their fairway wood off the turf, the club is bottoming out before it gets to the golf ball, and we can't really do that. We want that to happen with the driver because it's up on a tee. If it's up on a tee, the club can bottom out and miss the ground and hit up into the ball. But if it's on the turf, we have to get ball first contact. And if you're playing it too far forward in your stance, that's going to lead to chunks in top. So that's what I would do first. And then the second, if you're still having issues, then it's probably a weight shift issue. You're probably not getting to your lead side properly. You're not loading up properly and getting to your lead side. So I'd recommend working through our never or stop chunking and topping course. That course is going to get you to where you're loading up properly. So staying behind the ball as you're going up the top. So staying nice and stable as you're going up the top, loading up, and then getting that good weight shift to your lead side. If you're someone who's kind of loading up on your lead foot, you're going to tend to fall away in the downswing, chunks, thins, tops, things of that nature. So we want to load up properly and then get to our lead side properly. And that's going to allow you to hit some much better shots. So to get to that course, you'll click on the house icon at the top of the page there. That'll take you to the home page. When you scroll down the home page, you'll see a list of all the courses. It'll say Top Speed Golf System course progress. If you scroll down, you'll see a list of all the courses there. And you'll see probably about halfway down, you'll see the stop chunking and topping course. Start working through the drills there. Now, as far as hitting it straight, need a little bit more information there. So if you can tell me what's going on when it's not going straight. Is it a slice? Is it a pull? Is it a hook? Is it a push to the right, or whatever it might be? Give me a little bit more information on what the tendency is, and that way I can give you a little bit better information on what exactly you need to do to start hitting the ball straighter once you do make solid contact with it. All right, so Daniel W. says, sometimes when using my short irons, I will hit a shot that rises quickly, then takes an immediate nosedive. Do you have the physics of what is going on here and what not to do it again? So it sounds like you might be hitting the ball thin. Let me actually zoom in here on this page so you can see it a little bit better. So if you hit it thin, so if we get an iron here, all right, so if we hit it thin, meaning if we hit it on the lower part of the club face, what happens is that the ball will actually crawl up the face a little bit, and it will put a lot of backspin on it. So that makes it really kind of rise up in the air and then kind of fall out of the sky. So that's most likely what's going on there, is you're just putting way too much spin on these shots. It's kind of making it do a rise ball on you and then drop out of the sky. So getting those strikes more in the more higher on the face is going to help you to do that. So that's mainly going to be with getting some forward shaft lean, getting that club to release more out in front. So if you are coming in and let's say you're coming in, you don't have any forward shaft lean. Well, if the ball's not sitting up on the grass like it's on a tee, it's going to be difficult to get it higher up on the face. You're going to tend to hit a lot of thin shots, like it sounds like what you're doing. But now, if I get some forward shaft lean, now you can see that contact is now a lot higher on the face. I'm also getting more compression on the golf ball. It's not wanting to rise so much. So that's why I'd recommend working on getting some forward shaft lean. Mainly, make sure that you have some lag first. Make sure that you're generating some lag in the downswing. If you are casting the club, you're going to have very little chance of getting any forward shaft lean. So I'd be working through the top speed lag course, making sure that you have some lag there. Film your swing, make sure that you're getting some lag. Beyond that, I'd be working on the straight line release, trying to get that club to release more out in front. The straight line, the forward shaft lean is a product of having the club release more out in front. So I work on your straight line release, getting that club to release that more out in front so you can get more forward shaft lean and compression at impact. To get to those courses, and again, you're going to want to look at your swing on video to see if you need to skip the lag course or not. Maybe you're generating lag and you're in good shape. And what I mean by that is in the downswing, we want to be sharpening up this angle as we're coming down. So we're going up the top, and then we're sharpening this angle, and then we release it. Well, if you're going up the top and you see you're kind of releasing that angle from the get-go, then that means that you are casting the club. So we want to be generating lag and then releasing it. So make sure that you're getting lag first, and then you can go to the straight line release, start working on that to get some forward shaft lean on the ball to get that strike higher on the face. So go ahead and keep posting your questions here. Like I said, we'll be on here till 10 a.m. Eastern time. We don't have any questions, then you kind of just get to stare at me, which is no fun. So any questions about the system? Any questions about the 20-minute distance fix would be good as well. If you haven't done that, I highly recommend that you do that course. Even if you don't think you need distance, you do need distance. So I highly recommend going through that course. The ball striking masterclass, if you have any questions about that, feel free to ask. Any questions about unlimited swing reviews, I'd be happy to answer any of those. Questions about in-person lessons, I'll do the best I can. Robin does all of our in-person lessons for us. Questions about distance clinics, kind of what we do there. Be happy to answer any questions about that as well. So yeah, go ahead and give me some questions here, and we'll get them answered. All right, so it looks like we got a question here. All right, so Nicholas F says, what is the most common reason you see people having difficulty getting into front side heel? Seem to be getting into my toes most of the time. Poor weight shift mainly. Not getting to their lead side properly. Also steepening of the shaft. So if you're not getting, so here's what happens if you don't get a proper weight shift. If you don't shift your weight at all and you just throw your arms in front of your body, a lot of times in order to make room for the club, you kind of have to get up on your heels so that you can flip the club in front. So that's one of them, not getting a proper weight shift. And then the other reason is coming down steep in the downswing. And it can be a combination of these things as well. So what I mean by that is when you're coming down steep, this is what steep means. In the transition, you're coming down and this club is more in a vertical position. So if you were to draw a line from the butt end of the club all the way down to the ground, be pointing inside the golf ball. We want that to be pointed at the golf ball or a little bit outside the golf ball. To be considered to be in a nice shallow position. And that's going to help you to stay in your posture, because if you are like this, now I have to make compensations in the downswing to get that club to come back down on plane. So typically what good players do is they'll stand up out of it and get up on their toes as they're coming through. So when I stand up, what happens if I'm kind of in this steep position, when I stand up, what happens is that raises my handle, which drops the head, and that gets that head to come back down on plane. Whereas if I'm in this position, I'm already shallow, I can just continue to rotate through contact, and that club is on plane as I'm coming through there. So working on that will definitely, that's going to be the move course. So working on the move. So weight shift, to work on your weight shift, if you see clearly you're kind of hanging back in your swing, work on the stop chunking and topping course. Odds are you probably struggle with chunks, tops, and thins. If you are, even if you're not, that course is going to help you to get loaded up properly and get to your lead side properly. And then the move course is going to help you to shallow out the club. So those are the two biggest things that I see. Excuse me. If you're struggling with either one of those issues or both those issues, I'll be working on those drills and those courses. To get to those, all you got to do is click the house icon, scroll down on the page when you get to the home page, and you'll see the courses there. There'll be the move course and the stop chunking and topping course for weight shift. So yeah, go ahead and keep your questions coming. And we'll get an answer. Like I said, we'll be on here till 10 a.m. Eastern time. So we got another 48 minutes left. It'll be a long 48 minutes if we don't have any questions. Questions about the system, questions about 20-minute distance fix, any of that. Be happy to help. All right. So we got a question here from Douglas B. Douglas B says, my right shoulder tends to move out, giving me the pull. Should I try to move the shoulder to the feet? I would look at your spine angle and make sure that your spine angles are good. So in the Top Speed Golf System, we have the Stable Fluid Spine course. So in that course, we talk about being nice and angled away at address and being nice and angled away at the top of the swing as well. So we like to be in that 6 to 8 degree range. When I see people who struggle with that shoulder going out to start the swing, so the shoulder is going out, it's usually because they're in this kind of position at the top. So at this kind of position at the top, I'm going to tend to want to do that. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but that's what I'm going to tend to want to do. If I'm more in this angled away position, I'm going to tend to want to bring my shoulder down like this and swing from the inside. So when you're in that angle, where that spine angle, where you're leaning toward the target, you don't have the space here. That space is gone to be able to work this club from the inside. So if I'm more in this angled away position, I can get this club to work from the inside more easily. So I'd recommend going to the Stable Fluid Spine course and working through the drills there to get to where you're more in an angled away position at the top, because that's most likely what's going on there. If you are angled away at the top, that is if you look at your swing on video and it looks good, you're stable in the address position, angled away, and then you're stable as you're going up the top, nice and angled away, no like big movement of the spine or anything like that. You probably just need to work on getting that club to swing more from the inside, and that's going to be working through the Never Slice Again course. I know you said that you're pulling, but a pull is a product of the same issue of slicing. The only difference is the face, the direction the face is pointing. So it's a product of an over-the-top swing, swinging to the left, out to in. If you're a right-handed golfer, you're swinging kind of in this direction. So you need to get more comfortable with swinging like this as opposed to this. And that Never Slice Again course is going to help you with that. The only difference with your pulls is that your face is closed or in line with your club path as you're coming into impact versus your face being open or square to the target when you are when you're hitting that slice. So in order to hit a slice, your face just has to be open to the path. And when you hit a pull, your face is in line with your path. It's just that your path is moving, not toward the target. In a case of a pull, it's moving out to in. For right-handed golfer, that'd be to the left. So working on that Never Slice Again course can also help. So number one, go to the Stable Fluid Spine course. Make sure, look on camera, make sure that you are good with your spine and you're not in that vertical position at the top, because that's going to promote kind of an outward shoulder movement. And then If you are looking good there, then you just need to get more comfortable swinging that club from the inside. Work on that Never Slice Again course. To get to either of those courses, just click the house icon at the top. That'll take you to the home page. Once you're on the home page, if you scroll down, you'll see all the courses. The Stable Fluid Spine course is going to be toward the top. The Never Slice Again course is probably going to be somewhere in the middle. All right, so Vito M says, I play a mountain course with narrow fairways. How can I have more consistent fairway hits with the driver? Well, give me some context here. Let me know where kind of your miss is. You know, if it's detrimental, like if you are really, you're putting yourself in positions like way out of bounds, way, out of the way, in the water, in the woods, whatever it might be, you may want to consider hitting a 3-wood or a hybrid or something like that off the tee. If it's something that's really tight and you're not going to be able to do that, then I'd recommend taking less club and just trying to get it to where it's playable down there. But getting more consistent strikes with the driver, that's just going to be working through the Tatsumi system. I mean, I don't know exactly what's going on in your swing. It's hard for me to know, but making sure that all the pieces of the Tatsumi system is there. So one of the main keys to consistency, and what I just talked about a minute ago, is getting that nice stable fluid spine. So making sure that your spine is good, nice and angled away at address, angled away at the top of the swing, and then angled away as you're coming into contact. If you are moving around everywhere, back and forth throughout the swing, that's just going to lead to some inconsistency. So I would definitely look at that. Make sure your spine angles are good, and continue to work your way through the system. Make sure you have a good shoulder turn. If you have a short turn, then you're likely going to rush things in the downswing to try to get speed, and that can make you less consistent as well. And the more power you have, the more you're going to be able to hit. If your driver is not the right club, you can hit your 3-wood and be more consistent with your 3-wood, but you'll be able to hit it pretty far if you get a big shoulder turn. So I'd work through the system and make sure that you're good there. But I would definitely look at your spine angles and make sure that you're good. If you have a specific miss, like it's always a slice or it's always a hook or something like that, we have courses that are specific to those things. So if it's usually a slice or a pull that you struggle with, I would work through the Never Slice Again course with the with the driver. If it's a hook or a push out to the right, if you're a right-handed golfer, I'd work through our Never Hook Again course to get you swinging more, on plane instead of so much from the inside. So those courses are going to help you with that. To get to those courses, again, you just click on the house icon at the top, scroll down on the home page, and you'll see all the courses on the website and start working through those courses. So Don G says, any recommendations for a senior golfer who has been cleared to swing clubs again after a major heart attack? I guess I'm not sure exactly what recommendations you're looking for. I mean, go out and play, work on the Tatsumi golf system. If you're physically able, I would say the 20-minute distance fix is good. Working on getting some distance back. You may have lost a little bit of strength going through that. Getting some of your distance back would be good. But yeah, mainly just working through the Tatsumi golf system, working through the 20-minute distance fix. So those are going to be the things that are going to help your game the most. But without any more specific information, it's hard for me to know anything about your game. I mean, as long as you're ready to go, get out there and start practicing the system. John G says, Quentin, I really struggle with bunker shots. Can you talk about some basics I should have with these shots? Thanks. Sure, John. So the biggest issues I see with people who struggle out of the bunker is there's two things that they typically don't do. One is that they don't open up the face enough. So they'll get a wedge in there, but they really won't open up the face much or just a little bit. We need to get that face opening about 45 degrees. So if you look right here, if I have a wedge here, this would be a square face. I need to get this open 45 degrees. So that's about 45 degrees open. And then you set that on the ground. That may seem like a lot and it's uncomfortable for some people because it feels like it doesn't leave much of the face left to actually hit the ball, but you're not really hitting the face with the ball. You're not really hitting the ball with the face. You're hitting the sand, and the sand's kind of splashing the ball out. So the reason why we want to open up that face enough is because we need to have this club glide through the sand. If we have it where we're coming in and we don't open up the face and we hit this sand with this leading edge, we come in like that, it's going to want to dig into the sand. It's going to get lost in the sand, and you're going to have difficulty getting the ball out of the bunker. So let's open this up so that it can basically act as a rudder. As you can see here, it's got this flange on here. So when we open this up, it exposes this flange and allows the club to glide through the sand. A good way to kind of think about it is imagine the sand is water. You know, if we were to take this club and kind of go like this, it would just kind of want to dart down into the water. Whereas if we took it like this and hit it and kind of smacked the water with it, it's going to want to just kind of glide through it. And that's what we want to do. We're just trying to glide through the sand and get the ball out. So that's number one. Number two is swinging hard enough. A lot of people I see, they kind of decelerate, and it's perfectly natural to do that, right? We're used to hitting, we're 10 yards away from the hole, and we're taking a swing like it's 40, 50 yards away or something like that. But we're not hitting the ball. We're hitting the sand, and the sand's got to splash the ball out. So you kind of got to get over that a little bit, and that just comes with practice. So make sure that you're swinging hard. You're accelerating through the ball instead of decelerating, because if you do that, you're just going to have a hard time getting the ball out of the sand. So you want to hit 4 to 6 inches before the golf ball hit the sand in normal kind of sand bunkers. And I get this question all the time because people always tell me, I don't play in normal sand bunkers. I play the bunkers here are concrete. They're terrible and things like that. And if that is the case, then you have to hit closer to the golf ball. And you can also open up the face just a little bit less. You still want to have the face plenty open, but if you're not playing in a decent, kind of a more consistent, if it's really, really hard sand or it's kind of like concrete or gravelly or things like that, instead of opening the face 45 degrees, I just open it like 30 degrees or something like that. And that's going to help you to dig into the sand a little bit more, because when you are hitting out of hard sand, you may want the tub to dig a little bit so that it can get down in there underneath it. Otherwise, if you open it up too much, it can kind of come in and bounce off the sand and into the golf ball. So it's just going to take practice. When you get into the bunker, you can kind of dig your feet down in there and get an idea of if it's soft sand, hard sand, gravelly, or if it's just kind of a hard layer on top, soft layer underneath. And you just need to go and practice these shots to get more comfortable with it. So first of all, open up the face at 45 degrees, swing hard, go practice that. If you find that the bunkers where you play at the most are harder, then you can hit a little bit closer to the golf ball. Typically, you want to hit 4 to 6 inches range. If it's harder sand, you might want to be in the 2 to 4 inch range behind the golf ball to get that good shot. So it just takes practice. Just go out and work on it, and you'll be able to gauge like, okay, I swung hard at that one, I got it out. At first, just aim for the big part of the green, the middle, and then once you get more comfortable with it and you get better with it, then you can start adjusting how hard you're swinging to be able to control the distance a little bit better. But start out with easy. Start out just swinging hard, getting it out of there. Hitting behind the ball about 6 inches. Something that you can do that's really, really easy is when you go practice is, if I angle this down, I would actually put 2 lines in the sand about 12 inches apart, and then put your ball in between that. So I put a line in the sand there, put a line in the sand there, about 12 inches apart. Put your ball in the middle, so that way you have a line that's 6 inches behind the ball, and then you have a line that's 6 inches in front of the ball. And that way, when you go to hit it, you can see where you are coming in and striking the sand in relationship to the golf ball. And that's a great way to practice it. You can see, oh, I'm coming in 9 inches behind the ball. That's too much sand. Or you can see I'm coming in and I'm only hitting 3 inches behind the ball. That's not enough sand that I'm taking. You want to be about 6 inches there. So that's what I'd recommend doing when you're working on that to go practice it. But it just takes some practice to get comfortable swinging that hard when you're that close to the hole. Dropping my wedge here. Douglas B says, though my consistent miss is the push slice. So yeah, I would recommend working on the never slice again course. Douglas, getting comfortable swinging more from the inside. And the best way to fix any issue is to exaggerate the opposite. So work on that course and get to where you're hitting hooks. And then once you're hitting hooks, then you can just ease off of that to straighten out the shot. Same thing with you, Vito. It's just you got to learn. The best way to fix a slice is to learn to hit a hook. Go to that never slice again course, and that's going to get you to where you can start hooking the ball. And then once you get to where you're hooking the ball, all you got to do is ease off of it. When I stay behind the ball, it goes straight. So yeah, it sounds like you might be sliding forward. If you're sliding forward, that can leave the face open, and you can hit that push slice. So make sure that you are getting that good weight shift, and then you're pushing and rotating your body open so that you can stay behind the ball and hit up on it through impact. So it sounds like you're on the right track there. I would stick with that. All right, so Ronald P says, I continue to have trouble with early extension. What is the best drill to help with that? So first of all, I'd recommend there's basically two sections on the course with lots of drills. The best drill, you just got to do, if there was one drill that worked for everyone, then we would just have one video on the, on early extension. But unfortunately, not every drill resonates with everyone. Some of them are going to resonate more with you than others. So I'd recommend working through the Stop Early Extension course and going through that and seeing if that helps. The other course is the Move course. So a big reason why people, and I talked about this earlier, a big reason why people struggle with early extension is because they're coming down steep in the downswing. So steep in the downswing means I'm coming down and I'm kind of in this position right here. This club is in a vertical position. We ran a line all the way down to the ground. It'd be pointed inside the golf ball. If that's the case, in order to hit a good shot, typically what I'll have to do is I'll have to stand up. There's that early extension to get this club to drop back down on plane. So there's your early extension right there. So we need to get this club to we're coming down and we're shallowing it out. And that's what Clay talks about in the Move course. So if the Stop Early Extension section is not helping at all, none of the drills in there are really doing it for you, then I would recommend I would look at your swing on video, see if you are coming down steep. Look at your swing from down the line, just like this view right here, from down the line here. Go watch your swing on video and pause it when you're at this point in the downswing. Lead arm parallel to the ground. It's about right here. Pause your swing right here. Draw a line. Use a software like V1 Golf, and you can record your swing with the app and draw a line all the way down the shaft, all the way down to the ground, and see where that's pointing in relationship to the golf ball. If it's anywhere inside of the golf ball, then that means that you are standing up because you are trying to compensate to get this club to come back down on plane. So if I'm in this kind of position here, I've got to do this to get this club to drop down on plane so that I can hit a good shot. Otherwise, my other options are boom, right down into the ground, or an over the top kind of motion as well. And most people aren't wired to do that because that's not going to result in a good shot, right? So I'd work on the Move course. It could be that you are shallowing out the club. So maybe you are shallowing out the club. This looks great, but you still stand up as you're coming into impact. And that may be because of the way that you square up the face. So squaring up the face for you may come in and do this action. So if you look at my trail hand here, I'm coming in and I'm squaring up the face by flipping, really pushing through with the trail hand. And for a lot of people, they do that because it feels powerful. This feels very, very powerful because we're right-handed. This is my right hand, and I really want to push this club through, and that's how I know how to square up the face. But that's not how tour players do it, and it's actually a weak way to square up the face because you're adding loft to the club because you are losing forward shaft lean when you do that. And when you lose forward shaft lean, you have to stand up to make room for the club. So that could be the other piece that's going on as well, which is also the move course. Both shallowing the club and getting the club face to square earlier so that you can get forward shaft lane. That's all the move course. So it may be the move course that you need to go work on. So in order to get forward shaft lane, we need to come in, we need to get this club face squaring earlier, and then we're coming into contact with forward shaft lane. And now you look, when I have forward shaft lane, look at my trail wrist. It is bent back. I'm in this kind of position right here. Not like this, but in that bent back position. That feels weak to a lot of people. So a lot of people have struggled with that. But working through that move course, get more comfortable with that, and you'll start getting some forward shaft lane and some compression, and also start staying in your posture, not early extending as a product of that. All right, so let's go ahead. We got about 30 more minutes here, so go ahead and keep posting your questions. And we'll continue to get them answered here. So Douglas B says, I occasionally shank chips. What's the fix? So a lot of times when I see people who struggle with shanking chips, part of it's because they stand too close to it. So maybe just stand a little bit further away, give yourself some space to move the club through there. That could be one reason. Another big reason is with chips, a lot of times people swing from the inside too much. When you swing from the inside, the club is moving in kind of this direction. The hosel is moving right toward the ball. So you'll end up with a lot of shanks. So feel like you're maybe swinging a little bit more over the top as you're coming through. And also, an easy way to fix shanks is just to intentionally try to strike the ball off the toe. If you hit a couple shanks, I would actually try to strike the ball more in the toe, and that will most likely make it more in the center of the face. Because a lot of times, if you occasionally shank your chips, that means on the ones that you're not shanking, you're probably striking the ball in this area. Even though you're not necessarily on the hosel, you're probably not far from it if you're kind of occasionally doing that. So right now, you feel like your intention is to hit it in the center of the face, right? But the reality is that you're getting it over here in the hosel area and in the heel area. So I would adjust your feeling to being more out in the toe so that the reality is that you hit it in the center of the face. So I do those three things. Number one, try to hit the ball more in the toe. Number two, maybe stand a little bit further away from the ball, give yourself some space. And then number three, make sure that you're swinging this club on plane and not so much from the inside. So I try to feel like you're swinging maybe a little bit over the top with your chips to get that plane as you're coming through to be the club more on plane instead of so much from the inside. All right, so continue to post your questions on there. And like I said, we got about another 25 minutes here, so continue to post your questions, and we will get those answered. Yeah, any questions about the system? Any of the courses on the website? Douglas, I'd also recommend our chipping mastery course. That's really good just to make sure that you have your technique on point there. So going through that can help you as well. Go ahead and keep posting your questions on there. If you're just joining us, I'm just waiting for a question to be asked so I can answer it. So Douglas Beast asked if we you guys do any short game clinics, say in March? So we only do distance clinics right now. We don't have any other clinics on any other parts of the game. But if you're wanting to come in and work on your short game, we do offer one-on-one lessons for that. So you can easily come in and work with Robin. Robin does all our in-person lessons at this time. You can set up a date with him in March where you can come in and just do a one-on-one thing with short game. If you want more information about that, you can go to the instruction tab at the top of the screen there and expand that, and then you'll see there's an in-person lessons in the menu. Click that. That'll take you to where there's more information, hourly rates, and how you can set up a lesson with Robin. You just email him. So go to that page, get the information that you're looking for. And if you have any questions about in-person lessons specifically, with him, then I would be, send him an email and ask any questions you may have, and he'll get back to you as soon as he can on that. But yeah, so you can do a whole short game thing with him. So go ahead and keep posting your questions there. We'll be happy to answer them. But as far as distance clinics are concerned, we do plan on doing some. We don't have any scheduled in 2020 yet, but we do plan on having probably one in every month in the winter and into the spring until it gets too hot here in Orlando. So usually by late April, I would say it's probably getting too hot. Maybe beginning of May, it's getting too hot. So we'll probably do a few in the first few months there. So probably at least one in January, one in February, one in March, one in April. It's possible we may do one in May. But as long as we have the demand for it, we'll keep doing the distance clinics for sure. But yeah, we've done several this fall. Just did one this weekend, had a great turnout. So be on the lookout in your email. Typically, about 6 to 8 weeks in advance, we'll send out an email for sign up for it. So be on the lookout in your email probably next month sometime for the next for the opportunity to sign up for the next clinic, which will probably be late January. But again, it will be a distance clinic, only really focused on distance. And if you come to a distance clinic, you can also book a lesson with Robin, and you can do you can do like a lesson with Robin and do short game when you do that. We actually had somebody who came to the 20-minute distance fix this weekend and wanted to work on the short game too. And Robin, they did a one-on-one lesson after the clinic was over, and he was able to work on his short game that he wanted to work on as well. So he came in from Singapore, so he came in and make sure he got his money's worth when he came in. All right, so Daniel W. says, I am new to your system. I'm wondering, can I ship around lessons, or should I do them in order? Ship around. Oh, okay. So basically, here's how I recommend that you go through the system. One, I would say go to the 20-minute distance fix and work through there to get distance. The only reason I would say to not go through the 20-minute distance fix is if you are hitting and nowhere near the fairway ever, like you're just super wild with your driver, like 50% of your shots are lost basically off the tee. If that's the case, you probably need to get that in order first. And I would work on your stable fluid spine. I would start there. That'll most likely get you to where you're getting those shots in better order. And then I would go to the 20-minute distance fix. If it's a specific thing, you can work on a specific course. Like for instance, let's say you're missing all these fairways. You're losing a ton of shots because you're slicing it. We have a never slice again course. I'd work through that and get that to be in good order. But basically, it just depends on what your goals are. So I think that everyone should be looking to get more distance, unless you're in that category where you're just losing so many shots. Like 50% of your shots, I would say, would be the threshold there. But if you're getting it around the fairway, even if you're 10 yards off the fairway, that's usually still going to be in good shape. Then I'd be going to the 20-minute distance fix and getting yourself some more speed, because that's going to get you a quick win. It's the easiest way. The good thing is it's the easiest way to get more speed and to improve, and it's the number one correlation to lowering handicap. So there's really nothing better you can do to get better at golf than to improve your speed. But that's only if you are just, the only reason I would say not to do it is if you're just so far off that you need to kind of get your swing in order first, just learn to hit the ball basically first. And that would start with the stable fluid spine, or if there's a specific thing that's going on, like chunking, topping, slicing, hooking, whatever it might be with your ball flight, then I would work on that specific course in the system. And then once you go through the 20-minute distance fix, you can go through it again as well. Keep going through it until you get all the distance that you want. And then I would start working through the Top Speed Golf system, get your stable fluid spine, excuse me. Yeah, work on your shoulder turn more specifically, get some lag more specifically, get that release working a little bit better as well. So that's what I'd recommend doing. And if you're looking for an instructor to kind of look at your swing and work with you and get you to know exactly where you need to go and how you need to start, we do offer a swing, like a lesson program, like an online lesson program. You can learn more about it by clicking the Learn More button above the video. That'll take you to the page where we talk about our swing reviews. I don't have spots available right now. I am only able to offer, I have a limited number of students that I can work with. So I don't believe I have spots available right now. So join that waiting list if you're interested in that. And I can get you on the right track to know specifically. But without seeing your swing or knowing more about what's going on, it's hard for me to know exactly what you need to be doing. So Dan M says, on pitch shots, do you feel it's more right-hand control? Is it the same on chips or a right-handed golfer? So that's a tough question because everyone's feels are a little bit different. Most likely, you probably don't want to feel like it's so much right-hand control, because typically people who feel that will flip, and that's not what you want to do on your pitch shots or your chip shots. So, if you are someone who's thinking right-hand control, typically what I see that. And that's an exaggeration, but we don't want to be coming in and kind of doing that action. We want to feel like we're kind of opening up and using the legs a little bit more, most likely. So I just look at your swing. If you see in your swing that you're kind of doing this and you feel like you're controlling things with the right hand, you want to get the legs more involved and feel like you're swinging through with your body more. Now, if you look at on your swing in your video, your swing on video with a chip shot, and you see you're coming through and you're kind of dragging the club through, you're opening up your body and you're kind of dragging the club through, you may want to feel like you want to get more right-handed golf involved. So it just depends on what you're seeing on video there. Same thing with chip shots. Typically, chip shots are going to be more, there's less hand action there. It's going to be more of like a shoulder rocking, almost like a putting motion, but getting your legs a little bit more involved. So it's basically the same thing as a putting motion. Just kind of rocking your shoulders, but you have your legs involved with it. So like with a putting motion, my legs are completely solid, and I'm just rocking my shoulders back and forth. With a chipping motion, I'm rocking my shoulders back and forth, but I'm also using my legs to rotate through, getting my knees moving as I'm coming through there, because I need that power to be able to do that. So, like I said, it's hard to say without seeing your swing, but you got to base it on what you're seeing on camera. If you see you're kind of flipping the club through, you're blading a lot of shots, you're chunking a lot of chips and pitches, most likely you're using too much right hand. You're really kind of flipping that club through there. And you need to get your legs more involved, most likely. So Douglas says, I feel like I've lost the feel in my chipping doing a putting stroke. Okay, if I get the hands back into the mix, and how could that work? So, like I said, it's hard to say without seeing your swing. These questions are really tough without seeing exactly what's going on. But if you're doing a putting stroke where you are just rocking your shoulders and not using your legs, that's probably the issue, and that's something I see all the time because it's typical instruction that I've heard people like, "Oh, Chip, it's just a putting stroke. That's all it is, just a putting stroke with the hands." What it kind of is, but you with a chip, you also need to get your legs involved with it because if you don't, then you may have some struggle with it. You may lose some feel and things like that. So get the knees involved, get the knees moving. It's okay to get these knees moving back and forth like this. That it's still a putting stroke. Okay, so here's our putting stroke, and then here's a putting stroke if I add my knees in there. Now I can really have a lot more feel and flow with what's going on. So I'd recommend doing that, getting the knees involved, getting the knees moving around, and that can help you get a little bit more of that feel back. And a little bit of wrist cock is fine. Having just a little bit of wrist cock, we don't want to go crazy. We don't want to be like generating a ton of lag or anything like that because that's going to make you lose a lot of feel. That's going to probably give you too much speed that you don't want for a chip shot. So I'd recommend trying to keep the hands fairly solid, shoulders and hands fairly solid. Rock those back and forth and get the knees more involved to help you give you a little bit more feel. So we got 10 minutes or so. Keep on posting your questions there, and we'll keep answering them. So if you're just joining us, I'm just waiting for a question to be asked. If you got a question, go ahead and post it on there, and we will get it answered. We will have another office hours tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern time, same time. You can post questions up to an hour before. Those are the first questions that I take. So 9 a.m. Eastern is when we'll start. That means that you can start posting your questions at 8 a.m. Eastern. If you forget something and you post something at midnight tonight or like 4 in the morning or something like that, that's not the question that I'm going to start with tomorrow. I'm going to be starting with questions that are asked at 8 a.m. Now, if there aren't any questions to start out with, sure, I will start with those questions. Today we didn't have any questions that were posted between, but those would be. But I wouldn't bank on that. You need to get your questions on there at 8 a.m. or during the office hours if you want to make sure that they get answered. So, any questions about neural adaptation or anything like that? I'm kind of surprised I don't get more questions about that. Because it's not exactly something people have ever heard before. So, all right. So Ed Wise says, with my practice swing, I take the club back all the way. But when the ball is there, I only take it back to a straight up position. So it sounds like you're a little bit uncomfortable with the ball there. So some things that I would look at is one is making sure that your shoulders are not leveling out as you go up to the top. So this is what I've seen oftentimes is that people who shorten their backswing when the golf ball is there is they do this number. They come up and their shoulders are level at the top. If I'm in this position, I can't see the golf ball. So what I'll end up doing is I'll end up swinging shorter so that I can keep my eye on the golf ball. So that's part of it. So make sure that you are staying in your posture there as you're going up the top and not leveling out your shoulders. There's a great drill on the website. It's called the shoulder to shoulder drill. You can search for that. In the upper right-hand corner, there is a search engine. It says search this website, and it's got a little search button that actually works really, really well if you're ever looking for something specific. But the drill that I'm talking about is called the shoulder to shoulder drill. Just type the words shoulder to shoulder, and it's the word two, not the number two, T-O. And that's a great drill to help you keep your posture, keep these shoulders on a steep angle so that you can see the golf ball better as you're going back. That could be the reason. Another reason maybe is that you're just not comfortable turning your back to the target. You can do it when there's not a golf ball there, but when you feel like you got to hit a golf ball, you're just not comfortable with it. So you just got to get out of your comfort zone, get out of your bubble, and not have any regard, initially, not have any regard for what happens with the golf ball. I know that may seem counterintuitive because the whole goal is to hit the golf ball well. But if you're working on something specific, like turning your shoulders more to help you get more speed so that you can hit the ball further, then you have to get out of that and not care initially about what happens with the golf ball. Just get whatever you're trying to do by any means necessary. So if it means that you miss the golf ball, then that's what happens. If it means that you chunk it, then that's what happens. It's no big deal right now. Once you start to get more comfortable with turning your back to the target, and a good feeling that I like to have is basically that my tags on my shirt, I'm trying to get my tags to be pointing toward the target at the top of the swing. I'm trying to get my tags pointed at the target at the top. That's going to help me to get a nice big shoulder turn. So that's what I'd be trying to get the feeling of. Maybe you're restricting your hips. You know, a lot of people, they try to keep everything in front of them, and that's why they don't turn their shoulders enough. So you need to get out of your bubble there and just make it happen by any means necessary. And if you hit the ball bad at first, who cares? Nobody cares. Go out to the range and work on it. And then once you get more comfortable with it, then you'll start hitting the ball a lot better. So that'd be my best advice as you're going out there. I see this all the time. You know, people come to our distance clinics and they just can't get out of their own way because they're good players a lot of times, and they're geared to hit good golf shots, which is good. That's what you want to do. But when you're working on techniques that you're not comfortable with, you have to understand that you're probably not going to hit good golf shots initially. You're probably going to hit some poor golf shots because your body doesn't know how to move that way and hit the golf ball yet. So you have to teach your body to move that way first. And then once you get more comfortable with it, then you'll be able to hit the golf ball a lot better. So it's I know it feels like you're kind of taking a step back, but you keep in mind that the goal is to get that technique or whatever it might be that's helping you get more speed. And then once you get comfortable with that, then you're taking 2 steps forward after that. So that's why I'd recommend doing Ed. All right. So Fred A says, can you explain the interaction between the club face, the ball, and the turf on iron shots? Does the leading edge of the club level out after contact with the golf ball? So basically, we want to come in and we want to get ball first contact, ideally. So we come in, ball first contact, and then you can have ground contact at the golf ball. That's fine, but anywhere at or a little bit after the golf ball is in general where you want to have it. It's also going to depend on the turf. So if you have the ball where it's sitting up in the grass, you may not take much of the ground. You know, you may just be shaving that top layer of the grass off. If you're playing in really, really tight conditions and it's wet, you're going to take a lot more of a divot there. You may be coming in, you're getting that ball first contact, and you may be getting the ground like right at underneath the golf ball as well to get that strike really good. So it comes in general, it kind of does a little bit of leveling out as you're coming down, because as you are coming down and hitting through the ball, basically you're coming down like this, your hands reach their lowest point, and then the hands actually move up. So as your hands kind of going around in your arc in your body, because your hands are going around in a circle, right? So they reach a low point and then they move up. When that low point usually happens about when that lead arm or when that hand is in front of the trail thigh. And then from there, it starts to move up. And when that handle is moving up and the club head is moving down, it will create a little bit of a level spot as you're coming through contact. So you want to get the ball first contact, then the ground, and then divot through the ground, kind of a level. It's almost like you're shaving that top layer of turf typically you're gonna a good divot's gonna look like a dollar bill. It's gonna be perfectly square, and it's gonna be just a dollar bill pointed right at the target. That's typically what you're gonna see in a perfect situation. But the turf can manage that. If it's really, really hard turf, you're not going to take as much of a divot. If it's really, really wet turf and you just kind of hit through it like a knife, like a hot knife through butter, then you're going to take a bigger divot. You're going to take a a longer divot and so on and so forth. So a lot of it depends on the turf, but just in general, that's what's going on there. So we got about 3 or 4 more minutes here. Go ahead and keep posting your questions. And we'll continue to answer them. So like I said, I'll be back here tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern time, to answer more of your questions. You can post your questions up to an hour before the office hour starts, and those will be the questions that I start with. So yeah, we got time for another question here. So if you have another question, go ahead and post it on there. But yeah, if we don't get one in the next couple of minutes here, we'll go ahead and wrap it up for today. If you're just joining us or just hopping on here, I'm just waiting for a question to be asked. If I don't have any questions to answer, there's not a lot for me to do on here. So go ahead and post your questions, and we'll get them answered. Another minute or so to post a question. If there aren't many, or if there are not any left, then we'll go ahead and wrap it up for today. Like I said, we'll be back here tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern time. All right, so Fred A says, I seem to hit either my irons or woods well, but rarely at the same time. Is this common? Somewhat, because it's two different sensations. So when you're hitting your driver, if you're hitting it well, you're probably hitting up on the golf ball. And that's a different sensation than what you get on the ground, right? When you're hitting a ball off the turf, you need to hit down on the golf ball. So just kind of change that mindset between the two, and that should help you out quite a bit. So with the driver, that's mostly done with ball position, putting that ball a little bit further in your stance, maybe getting a little bit wider with your stance helps you to hit more up on it, so on and so forth. Having your compression line a little bit more angled away from the target as you're coming in. What I mean by your compression line, that's going to be the line that goes up from your lead ankle, hip to shoulder. So with an iron, typically you're going to have that, pretty vertical or slightly angled away. With a driver, you can be a little bit more angled away, and that's going to promote more of an upward angle of attack. So if you're doing that with your irons, if you're kind of staying behind it too much and coming in too level with it and actually hitting up on it with the irons, you're going to have issues because it's going to be hard for you. You're going to hit a lot of thin shots, top chunks, so on and so forth. So we need to be hitting down on it. And we don't want to do that with the driver, because if we hit down on it with the driver, you're going to put a lot of spin on the ball. You're typically going to launch it really, really low. It's going to be harder to control when you do that. It's not going to be very conducive to distance. So with a driver, widen up a little bit, get more angled away as you're coming in so that you can get that upward angle of attack. With the irons, I would just try to feel like you're hitting maybe down on the ball a little bit. It's hard to say without seeing your swing and comparing the two. But that's usually what most people struggle with, is just the difference between. That's really the only big difference, is that how your attack angle, what you're coming into the golf ball. As far as swing mechanics are concerned, you're still getting a big shoulder turn with both. You're still getting a stable fluid spine with both. You're still wanting to generate lag with both. You are still wanting to shallow out the club and get the club face squaring earlier with both, like we do in the move. You're still wanting to do all the pieces of the top speed golf system. There's just a couple that are typically a little bit different, like your compression line can be a little bit more. It can be the same, but if you're a little bit more angled away, it can promote more of an upward angle of attack. And if you're more vertical, it can promote more of a downward angle of attack. So something to keep in mind is if you want to go and work on those things and try to work on those feelings. But it's hard to say exactly without seeing both of the swings side by side. So thanks everybody for joining me. I will be back here tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern time. Until then, I will talk to you next time. Hope you all have a great day. Take care.